Shalom, shalom. HALALYAM, YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, QADASH. Double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone to teach them well. Peace and salutations be to the elect. I'm Brother Tazam Gabar coming to the lesson. This is going to be going into the U.S. dollar being ditched, and all these other countries ditching the U.S. dollar. All right. Why is this topic important? Because it just shows you the worth of the dollar, the U.S. dollar, which is the main currency, the superpower currency, the dominating currency, whatever you want to call it. But it's top dollar in the world right now. And guess what? The other nations are now ditching it. It says China and Brazil ditch U.S. dollars, but USD will always remain king. All right, which is USD is U.S. dollars. They're saying it will always remain king. But what's a king who has no followers? You know, how are you going to remain king if you have no followers? No nations are using it. You know, it's not valuable to any of those other nations with which the U.S. does trade with. You know, so if the U.S. can't trade anymore, eventually they'll stop getting food imported. They'll stop getting supplies imported. Natural resources, all this stuff is going to get cut short. You know, it says China and Brazil ditch U.S. dollars, but the USD will always remain king. China and Brazil's trade agreement to transact with each other in their own currencies would have no impact on the U.S. dollar's global dominance, according to Sergei Perfilev. It says the world runs on dollars. China and Brazil will now trade with each other using yuan and reis instead of the almighty U.S. dollar. China already has similar agreements, most notably with Russia, and can be seen as a play in dethroning the U.S. dollar as the world's most important currency. You know, and it is a play to dethrone the U.S. dollar as the world's most important currency, because now Babylon is losing its grip. It's losing its power on the other nations and its influence in the other nations. So these nations are starting to buck up against Babylon now, because Babylon has been a great big bully. And now everyone else is starting to stand up. Why are they starting to stand up and ditch the U.S. dollar? Because now they're getting supported by these other superpower nations like Russia and China, you know, and they're supplying them with war weapons, with missiles, nuclear missiles, you know, EMPs and shit. These nations are starting to lose. They're starting to get more bolder, I should say, because when you ain't got no power and you got a bully, but you ain't got no power, but yet you start to get older, you start to get stronger, more masculine, more muscles. You know, like say you're getting bullied as a child, but when you hit that growth spurt as a teen, you become taller than your bully, stronger, voice deeper, all that. You're more masculine than the bully, and now he can't bully you anymore. If he tries to bully you, he's an idiot, because now he's playing with fire. Now now you've become a threat to him, and that's what these other nations are becoming to the U.S., a threat. It says, Perfilev, a financial training instructor and ex-Goldman Sachs quantitative strategist, noted in a tweet that the world runs on dollars and it's not going away anytime soon. Well, tell that to Fed now, who's trying to enforce trying to force a digital currency in the next few months, by June or July, I said. You know, why? Because the U.S. dollar ain't gonna hold you. It's not holding up anymore. Sorry to tell you. If the dollar's not going away anytime soon, then tell us why there's inflation. Tell us why the gas prices are going up. Tell us why the dollar has no more, influenceable as it used to be. It has no more, not as much as influence as it used to, because now a lot of restaurants you go into, you're going to get some fight back on. When you try to pay for $1, you're going to get some bite back. Is it possible you can pay through card, or can you use contactless payment, or we don't accept money here, or our register is down, we ain't taking money? You know, can you not see that the world has been moving towards a digital currency this entire time? Through using cards, through using contactless payment, through using technology payments and phone payments, now all the way up to palm payments and face ID payments. you know, and eventually it's going to get to what? MOTB payments, which is either going to be in your palm or in your face. All right. It says according to, so you see how close we are into the MOTB. You see how close this US dollar is to collapsing, because they have already got everything in place they need. All they need to do is come out with the MOTB. According to Perfleaf, the US dollar is not only backed by the largest economy in the world, it is backed by the American system that is known for being free and open. Okay, now that sounds like emotion. That sounds like emotionally speaking and opinion-wise. You know, if you look at the facts of it, these other countries is what really keeps Babylon running. It says U.S. private property and assets are subject to strict laws and the risk of seizure and confiscation is minimal. Contrast is with China, as Invez recently reported, where billionaire Mark Mobius said China is restricting flow of money out of the country. Well, nigga, if you was really had common sense, go and look on the back of pretty much everything you own in your room. See where it was made in. All right, most of the shit over here in the U.S. is made in China, man. You know, and how do you think they got that? Through buying. How do you think they got these things from China? They bought it. You know, but if the U.S. dollar, if they ain't using U.S. dollar no more, how are they going to buy stuff from China? It says the U.S. dollar is irreplaceable. The U.S. dollar is held by countries worldwide. This is where this guy contradicts himself. The U.S. dollar is held by countries worldwide as part of their foreign exchange reserves, while many global currencies are pegged to the U.S. dollar. The dollar is still the dominant common denominator for global transactions, despite China's latest attempts to say otherwise. Meanwhile, global commodities like oil trade in dollars, and the U.S. is home to commodity and future exchanges that are relied on by users across the world. What happens when the users across the world stop relying on that dollar, though? Which is already, you already got signs of that coming into fold. It's not just China and Brazil. At first it was just China, now Brazil has ditched the US dollar. And guess what? Now you have, in this post, I'm going to use it as my wallpaper for the lesson. It says China, Russia, India, Brazil, and South Africa are developing a new currency after ditching US dollar. All right, and you can see all of the leaders standing together, holding hands. And you don't see the leaders of Babylon in that equation holding hands. All right, so who are they holding hands and who are they teaming up against? The great big bully, Babylon, America, Babylon the Great. You know, the whore. These nations are about to team up against the whore. Okay, this is the book of Joel, chapter 3 and verse 10. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. So these other nations are getting bolder. They're starting to take up for themselves, to take up arms, to prepare against that great day against Babylon. Why? Because the Lord has sanctioned it. The Lord wants these nations to destroy Babylon. Revelation chapter 11, verse 18. And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead. So the nations are going to be angry. You know, they're going to be angry at who? Babylon. And the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great. And says, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. It says, and who is that? Who's them that's destroying the earth? Esau, Edom, you know, and their headquarters over here in Babylon. The Lord going to destroy their ass. You know, this is the book of Jeremiah 50 and verse 14. Put yourselves in array against Babylon round about. So this is prophecy coming off the book when you see this picture of these other nations holding hands together, and Babylon, the leaders of Babylon, ain't in the equation. And they're holding hands, they're putting themselves in array, literally, against Babylon. All ye that bend the bow, shoot at her. Spare no arrows, for she hath sinned against the Lord, YAHAWASHI. And it's not just those leaders, but more leaders of the world are going to join. More leaders of different countries are going to join into that, that holding hand, that unison. When you see people holding hands, it portrays unity. So these nations are uniting against who? Babylon the Great. It says, all ye that bend the bow. So all them that got nukes, spare her, shoot at her. They're going to shoot them nukes at her, man. Spare no arrows, for she hath sinned against the Lord, YAHAWASHI. So what? Now these nations are starting to see that they don't need Babylon anymore. So it's not, now it's the thing, like, why don't we just wipe her out? Why don't we just get rid of her? She's here for nothing. Jeremiah chapter 51 and verse 2. And will, Salakia, it says, behold, or Salakia, Jeremiah 51 and verse 1. Thus saith the Lord, YAHAWASHI, behold, I will raise up against Babylon, and against them that dwell in the midst of them, that rise up against me, a destroying wind. Okay, so that destroying wind is going to be what? The nuclear missiles. And I will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her, and shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. All right, and you already see a form of that right now. It's already building itself up. You know, all prophecies are literally gearing up and staring you in the face as we speak. And you don't know which one going to hit you first. We're at a point now where all the prophecies are standing and staring at us dead in our face, and we don't know which one's going to kick us, kick the world's ass first, kick Babylon's ass first. But we know to the spirit, how these things are going to go down. But the moral of that, the point of that is just that, everything is already ready to unfold. You got the famine, you got the MOTB, you got war, nuclear missiles, you got all these things ready and lined up, and you've heard of all of these things already from the higher ups, that these things are going to come. And here it is, you got all these nations ditching the US dollar, and that just shows you that the MOTB is about to get moved in, and these nations are gearing up and getting ready to destroy and fan Babylon. I truly hope this lesson was edifying to you, Aki, and I want to listen to the sincerity. To next semester, I want to give all glory, honor, and praises unto Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH. Shalom.